Yo, what's up? Welcome to the Dissection, a Numbers with Shikari series where we're dissecting the numerology behind some of your favorite musicians and public figures. I'm your host, Shikari, conglomerated numerologist and astrologer, but by all means, please call me Ace. And in this episode, we're talking about Rihanna. It's freaking Rihanna. So I'm very excited. And we're not only discussing the most recent album, Anti, but we're also looking at the oldies but goodies, starting from Good Girl Gone Bad Reloaded, all the way up to when she should release her 9th studio album, because we've been waiting on it. Everybody been on Twitter like, Rihanna, where it at? But we gonna talk about it. So if you're liking what you're hearing, make sure you share it on your socials and tag me at YourSoLab or at Numbers with Shikari on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, Instagram. I always say it weird. Anyways, head over to YourSolaboratory.com to check out the interactive blog post that highlights all the numbers I'm talking about, terminology, number and letter charts, and my final thoughts. It's like an educational showing of my work so you can know exactly the numbers that we're talking about while we're talking about them. So all the direct links are in the description of this episode, but let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with Rihanna's numbers. She was born February 20th, 1988, making her a psychic 2, simplified from that 20, a destiny 3, simplified from 30, and a name number 2, simplified from 20 again. So I already love the synchronicity of her numbers. That psychic 2, like, I already know that she's very charismatic and loving and just really caring and empathetic, and also fairly focused, because that moon energy, also, it don't play. It's like when she loves you, she fucking loves you. So, and that's just 2 energy in and of itself. So when it comes to just doing things, she about that shit. And also 2 also is naturally attached and drawn to the arts and creativity. So it makes sense that she's in the industry that she's in, and she also has Fenty Beauty and also lingerie as well. Like, she has all of these things that are in this artistic or creative field, so it all makes sense to me, numerologically speaking, that's her numbers. But also with her being a 20 and also having so many zeros throughout her numbers, I feel like she might have struggled with boundaries. That might be something that she still faces or might still be hindered by, of being able to protect her peace, because she really needs to do that, because the energy is potent. That 2 energy is really potent. I also really hope that she takes really good care of her health, because 2s are naturally more exposed to health impacts or negative health impacts. So when she needs to rest, and that needs to be the end of the conversation. So I really hope she takes care of herself. And in regards to the name too, because they're also the same, I love the synchronicity between the psychic and the name. I know that she is therefore seen and remembered for how she makes people feel. And this is also, you can see this in how people react to her music and the lack thereof for the past couple years. So people are trying to get that feeling that they get from Rihanna music, because that's the only way you're going to get that feeling is from Rihanna music, is with Rihanna music. So people, socially, she's remembered for that energy and that love that she carries with that 2 energy. It's just very much remembering how she makes people feel. And then that Destiny 3, which also all of her projects were released prior to her Destiny number takeover. So now that she's with her Destiny number taking over, I'm very excited to see how all this plays out. With the Destiny 3, dreaming big is just the key, because the sky is the fucking limit. 3 is ruled by Jupiter. You can go anywhere and do anything with this. So when it comes to going for stuff, it's very key to keep good company and keep good boundaries as well, but also just consistently go for whatever the fuck you want. So I know that whatever she does, as long as she's continuing to go and expand, it's really a time thing, because your Destiny number talks about things over a long period of time. So as long as she just continues to do what she's doing, she's really fine. Like, I really love her numbers in general, because also they're so simple. Because like overall with those 3 base numbers, she can do anything she wants, especially if she's working with numbers. Luck is on her side, especially with that Destiny 3 rulership. 3 is connected to luck. So when it comes to her doing things, the 2 numbers of her numerology, because her psychic and name number are the exact same, all they do is magnetize. So whatever number she's using, as long as she just uses them well and they're well regulated, it just is gonna keep expanding. So I also love the balance between masculine and feminine energy, because feminine energy is even numbers, masculine energy is odd numbers. But the interesting thing about 3 is, even though it's an odd number, it has a neutral energy, as well as 5 also the same way. Is like, it's not necessarily masculine or feminine. It sort of kind of is just whatever you want it to be. It just is there, and that adds to the numerological adaptability for 3s, and also Rihanna in this case. So I really love her numbers. She doesn't really have to push anything for real. She just can do it, and then people are like, oh my fucking god. So, and you can also just see that in how the world operates when we discuss Rihanna. So I really love her base numbers. The numbers I'd recommend for her, based off of her base numbers, and her numerology, because she's also born in a universal exalted 8 year, which is simplified from that 26, and a universal exalted 1 month, which is simplified from that 28. So I would definitely recommend 1, 2, and 3, and 9 for just numbers in general, depending on what she's trying to do. 1, because we're trying to follow a pattern, not trying to, but in numerology you're looking for those patterns. So since her base numbers are 2 and 3, adding a 1 in there, very, very nice. A 4 would be a little bit too chaotic and just make it overwhelming for that 2. Especially since that 2 isn't like supported by like an 8 or something, like, or a 1. It would be a little chaotic, and 4 is chaos, so we don't really want to do that. But I really like that 1 because it works with that pattern. 2 because it's her psychic name number. 3 because it's her destiny number, and 9 because it reflects that 1, and it's also a multiple of 3, which is her destiny number, so that adds to her overall power. And just sort of kind of gives that 3 that's already this expansive energy a boost. So it's already looking so good. And also, one of the things with her numbers is, because it's 2 and 3, there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities that you get with the combination of 2 and 3, because also 6 works beautifully with both 2 and 3, because of multiples. But the thing about 6 is, it's not a really powerful, pushing, potent, we're going aggressive number. It's more of a, it's more of a supplementary / softer, let's just sort of kind of sit here and be pretty. It's ruled by Venus, so that tracks, but it doesn't evoke movement the same way that a 9 or a 1 would, which is okay, because we do need rest. So we're not mad at it, but depending on what she's trying to do, it would depend on if I would recommend a 6. A 7 works well with her destiny number, so because it reflects, and then it's also pleasant with that 2 energy, because 7 is ruled by Neptune in the south node, and the moon is ruled by the moon, and those planetary bodies are in the same vibe. So I would be very selective with where she puts the 7 energy if she uses it, but it's still energy that would be okay for her. But 7 can spiral. 7 can spiral really aggressively, and when it's combined with a 2, it can spiral even worse if it's not well regulated. So I would be very selective with a 7, but if she plays her cards right, it can be very, very good. It also depends on where her mental is and where her internal space is. 8 I would also recommend, but this is also as like a good number, not the best number. But yeah, it's a good number because she's born on a Saturday, and Saturn rules Saturday and Saturn rules 8, so it's sort of kind of like a no-brainer. But this would be another one that I'd be selective with, just because it's a slower moving energy. It's okay because also she's born in that universal year, but it doesn't push like you would want a release to push. But also, she's been in the game for 2 decades, so are we really looking for a push at this point? Probably not. But I really like her numbers. Her good numbers are I would make supplementary, but her best numbers by far are definitely that 1, 2, 3, and 9. Check the interactive blog post for the best days and the good days. Those are all based off of those natal numbers. Her best days of the week are Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. She was born on a Saturday, like I mentioned before, but I would still make that supplementary just because that 8 would just slow it down. So when initially, in regards to approaches, you wouldn't want to be working in that slow energy. 8 could be more beneficial now that her destiny number is taken more of a front seat. It wouldn't be as bad because she already has had this expansion, now it's just maintenance, and 8 is a good maintaining number, and so is 6. So it just depends on what she's trying to do that what I would recommend in regards to day of the week releases. But Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday are great. Monday is ruled by the moon, Tuesday is ruled by Mars, and Thursday is ruled by Jupiter, and all of those numbers are in her recommended numbers. And Sunday is also a good day, and Saturday is also a good day. So I like those. But let's go ahead and get into these releases, because we got 6 albums to get through. So we're going to try and move fairly quickly through these. So make sure you're checking and looking into the interactive blog post just so you can see more information. But Good Girl Gone Bad Reloaded was a deluxe version of Good Girl Gone Bad. It was released June 2nd, 2008, which was a Monday. Love this already. I already love this. I already really like this. It has a Pure Psychic 2, a Destiny 9 simplified from 18, and a Name number 7 simplified from 88/16. There's some very notable songs on here: Umbrella, Shut Up and Drive, Don't Stop the Music, Disturbia, Take a Bow. Like, these are songs that if you heard these titles, you probably heard these songs before. I love it. 2 and 9 don't directly work well together, but because Rihanna's numbers are so, hey, go for it. Whatever you want to do, we're in the vibe. It works. It's like, this is a great example of personal compatibility in regards to numbers, because in this situation, 2 and 9 work well for her, especially again, since all of her releases were before her Destiny took over. That works well with her in regards to that, having the Psychic 2 and the Destiny 9. I love it. And the 9 being simplified from that 18, that supplementary 1 highlights that drive and that ambition and reflects that 9, so it's adding a balance. And then also that 8 highlights this remembrance, this fame, and longevity. So overall, this project release is beautiful. I also love the Pure 2 because it gives this project an authenticity that is true to Rihanna, because her 2 is her Psychic and Name number. So this highlights all of these 2 themes for her, and also highlights this determination, this lust, and levels of obsession. Because it's like, if you listen to that album, you get those vibes. And also, if you listen to Rihanna music, you get those vibes. You definitely see it. But overall, the compatibility between the Psychic, Name, and Destiny, I didn't talk about the Name. Let me back up. The Name 7 definitely gives this project an originality and a uniqueness to itself. And possibly inspired by past work, which makes sense because it's a deluxe album, so that's where you could get that past work inspiration from. But it's highlighting a journey where awareness is gained, and also exposing listeners to a little bit, maybe something new or a little bit more complex side of her art, because this is also album 3, so, or at least deluxe version of album 3. So it's a new taste, but it's a taste that we're not mad at. And also, this project was released in a personal 5 year for her, which concerns me just slightly, because 5 is ruled by Mercury, and it's also supplementary. The supplementary from that 5 is a 14, so it concerns me a little bit in regards to her mental health. So I'm wondering how she was handling fame and the industry overall during this time. But other than that, I really like this release for her, because like the overall compatibility definitely gives a long-standing success and power and notoriety that, especially with that Destiny number, is just going to get bigger with time. She doesn't really have to do a lot of work. People who have 3s in their numerology need to do the work, yes, but you don't have to go as hard, especially if your numbers are already naturally supported. Do whatever the fuck you want to do and let the numbers do the rest. Especially if you play your numbers right, you're good. So I would rate this overall a 7 out of 10. 7 only because I'm concerned about her mental health during this time and emotional well-being in regards to the release of this project. But if she was fine, this was definitely like an 8 out of 10, maybe even a 9 out of 10. This was a really beneficial release for her and her career in general. So I'm honestly here for it. And if I were to change anything to make this a little bit more compatible, I would change the Destiny 9 to a 3. as an exalted 3 if I could, because that would have been better regulated with the rest of the numbers. That 3 reflects that name 7, and also works well with her natal numbers as well, considering her natal psychic is a 2 and her natal destiny is a 3. So I would have changed it to an exalted 3, because that supplementary 1 and 2 would have also done really good. But moving on to rated R, this is one of my favorites personally, not only in regards to the numbers behind this release, but also the songs on this. Like, you have Wait Your Turn, Hard featuring Jeezy, Rude Boy, Te Amo, Rockstar 101. Like, you got some bops on this album. And one of the things I love about Rihanna is every project, there's bops. There's always bangers. There are always bangers. And the thing about this, the numerology behind this project, this was released November 10th, 2009. This was a Tuesday, giving it a Psychic 1 simplified from that 10, a Destiny 5 simplified from a 14, and a name number 9 simplified from an 18. Now, if you're looking at it, you see 1, 5, 9. 1 and 9 reflect each other. 5 is the only number that reflects itself. So the reflection alone on this is immaculate. Like, I saw this and I literally gasped. I was like, oh, leave no crumbs. Leave no crumbs, ma'am. Leave no crumbs. Because this works so freaking good. That Psychic 1 simplified from that 10 works great with her natal numbers, because she has that 0 throughout her natal numerology. And 0 is depending on the numerology that you're using, but since we're conglomerated over here, 0 is ruled by Pluto, so that can amplify or sort of deconstruct whatever number it's with. So if she plays her 0 is right, she can work with it, and she's definitely working with it. But that Psychic 1 definitely gives her a fresh start from her last project, and you can tell. You can tell that she was like, we in a new bag. Don't play with me. And that Destiny 5 simplified from that 14 allows the songs to sort of kind of have an earwormy effect. So you may not have heard these songs and known that this was Rihanna, or known it was from this project specifically, but you hear these songs and you don't really forget them. So I like the earwormy effect that Destiny number has for her. And it only works because it's regulated by that Psychic 1 and that name 9. That is the only reason why I would say it work. And also the supplementary numbers are also well regulated, because if you stack that 14 and that 18 on top of each other, they work great. They work great together. That name number 9 allows that maturity with that supplementary 8 giving, and also that 1 giving more confidence and even more potency. But overall, the compatibility in regards to this release is beautiful. It was also released in a universal 2 year, and also she was in a personal 6 year. So the interesting thing for me is that the personal 6 year, typically you're recommended to sort of just sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor type vibe. But with her numbers, it's her choice. It's more of her choice, because 6 works incredibly well with both her 2 and her 3 of her natal numbers. But I'm also really glad that she didn't try to put any more 6 energy into this project, because it would have really just been like, slow it down too much, where we don't really need to slow it down. But she let everything breathe here, and I love it. I love it. I love it. It works so good together. That universal 2 year works well with that personal 6 year, and everything is sort of just like kisses on the cheek type vibe. It's definitely giving me an 8 out of 10. The one thing that I will say, that she was a personal 8 month during this release. So I hope she was resting, because when you have 6 and 8 together, it's highlighting of, babe, please sit down. please sit down. We would like to take a break. But if she was resting during this time, like, that, this is great. But if she wasn't, I hope she wasn't getting sick during this time, because sick 2s do have a higher likelihood of getting sick with that 2 energy, especially if their boundaries are not good, and especially if they're not well regulating themselves as like a person. But overall, I love this release. This is definitely one of her better releases, and also some of her most well-known music. I know I've heard a couple of those songs on TikTok recently, so, but that's my BB. But moving on to album number 5, Loud, was released November 12th, 2010. This was a Friday. giving this project an exalted, it's psychic 3, simplified from that 12, a pure destiny 8, and a name number 2. Now, the blend of this, now I know I said that 8 was a good number for her, but it depends on where she puts it. I would use more 8s now compared to when her psychic number was more in the front seat, because that 8, though 2 and 8 reflect each other, you really gotta play your cards right to get the blend together. So 8 is a good number for her, but making it a destiny number definitely makes the success of this project slow down a little bit, especially in the combination with that psychic number 3. So that 2, the destiny and the name reflect each other. So long standing, it's gonna do good. I would just say that the initial of it might not have reached as far numerologically as it could, especially with the power of that 3. That 3 was over here like, we are taking over the world. And that 8 was like, no, we're not. Not yet. sit down. It's very much that TikTok sound where they're like playing the horns and you think it's your part to sing yet, and it's not, and you just got to keep holding on. That's what that 8 is doing in this numerology, and it's okay because also she's already developed a long-standing fan base. We're on album 5 at this point, so it's not bad. But with 8 being the strongest out of that 2 or 3, it definitely puts this project more of a hidden gem, because also you have songs like Only Girl, S&M, Man Down, Cheers, What's My Name, all on this project, and those are some dope ass songs, but those are songs that not everybody may know based off of that 8. I wouldn't say that it had the broadest reach that it could, especially with that Psychic 3 trying to expand this. But also with the personal year that she was in, and the personal month, it definitely shows the growth that she's had. She was in personal year 7 and a universal pure 3 year. That reflection is beautiful. So it was a great year for her to release. I just wish that the numbers were better regulated. I would have probably put a Destiny 1, not change, if I could not change anything else, like in a perfect world, I would have tried to go with a Destiny 1 with that Psychic 3 and that name number 2. It would have just been Chef's Kiss, because that 1 would have just been like supportive of literally everything. 1 highlights potential, so it would have just been like, wherever you want to go with this, let's go. But overall, with the 8 slowing it down at this time, long standing, yeah, it's cool, so it would probably be like an 8 out of 10 for me. But initial release, I would probably go for like a 6 out of 10, just because it was a great use of her natal numbers, but that 8 definitely slows things down. But moving on to the 6th album, Talk That Talk, I would definitely say I am okay with this release to some extent. Rather, let me take that back. I thought I was talking about a different album. Talk That Talk was not one of my favorite numerologically releases. It was released November 18th, 2011 on a Friday, giving it a Psychic 9 simplified from an 18, a Destiny 6 simplified from a 15, and a name number 7 simplified from a 34. It was in a universal 4 year and pure 4, and a universal pure 8 year, and a universal pure 6 month, and her personal month was 1, and her personal day was 1. Like there's a lot of things in this numerology that just told me that she needed to just sit down. Also, it was released on a Friday. I wouldn't necessarily recommend releases for her on Fridays. They don't necessarily do bad. It's okay because she has 2s and 3s. But depending on what she's trying to do with the project, of whether it's just like here, this is cute, like we're not trying to really push this, it's just I did something I wanted to share with you guys. Fridays are fine, but if she's trying to push something, I would definitely lean towards more of that Tuesday, Thursday type vibe. But the combination of that 6, 7, and 9 is not the best, especially because she's in that personal 8 year, and in those personal 8 years, focusing on your personal well-being isn't the only thing, but it's definitely a recommended thing. She is born in a universal 8 year, so now that it is her personal year, it could signify somewhat of a rebirth. So it's not bad that she was releasing music. I just hope that she was okay and confident in the music she was releasing. On this project, there are, again, bops, as we know. We got You the One, Where Have You Been, We Found Love, Cockiness, Birthday Cake, even though that was an interlude, that is still a bop. We still love that song, but it was that 8 concerns me a little bit. And I would have recommended her take this year off, especially with that personal 8. It definitely highlights an enjoy the fruits of your labor type vibe, because she's been grinding for years at this point. But talking about that psychic destiny and name number, that psychic 9 simplified from that 18 definitely gives a confidence and power that is perfect for her. But it also gives her the chance to grow and evolve as an artist, especially with that 8 there, and especially with that 1 there. So it's beautiful. 18 simplifying to 9 is always going to be very nice. But it also depends on where you put it, and it's okay that this 9 is here. In regards to that destiny 6, because also she has compatibility between that psychic and destiny, and then that psychic and name. The destiny, I just would like her to either pick one or just to take a break. just sit down. But that destiny number highlights a long-standing passion for artistry and gives a nice magnetism and concept. But since it's not supported by everything, because also the supplementary numbers of that destiny number don't work the best with the psychic number. 6 and 9 were great because multiples, 3, 6, 9 works good. But the 15 and 18 sort of kind of concern me a little bit and give me a little bit of shakiness. But the name number 7 simplified from a 34, that's where that 3 was, gives it definitely a uniqueness and an independence socially, highlighting her transformation over the years as an artist. So I like it, but I don't love it. Because again, that personal 8 year definitely was giving, let's just sit back and enjoy this. We've done so much for so long, like, let's relax for a second. And it's definitely not giving relaxation, considering she was releasing an album. But if she had to release this year, working with that psychic number, I would have tried to go for a 1 and a 3, because that 1, and honestly 1 and 3 are both versatile numbers. You can put it almost anywhere in your numerology and it still do good. Especially in regards to project releases, you can put it damn near anywhere and it still is fairly cute, fairly nice, and it works well. So I would have done that 1 because it would have reflected that 9 and highlighted a balance between death and rebirth, giving like a nice reintroduction again, because when you're releasing a new album, this can be a new vibe, especially if it's a new vibe. Giving it some rebirth energy is definitely beneficial as an artist, because you will change with time. And then also a 3 because that works with her destiny number, but it also embraces her natural creativity and versatility without being too overwhelming for her, especially in a year that is highlighting more of a let's, like, we made it type vibe, like deep sigh very much is the vibe. But if we were working more with that name 7, I would definitely go for a destiny 3 and a psychic 2. This combination would feed more into that internal withdrawal state, but because like that destiny number would have worked well with her destiny number, and that psychic number would have been working well with her psychic number. But that 7 and that combination would have definitely been more of a let's take some time off type vibe. But considering it was a release, I would definitely lean more towards working with that psychic number than that name number. But at the same time, considering the personal year she was in, it's debatable. It's very debatable. I really would have liked to see her just sort of be like, yeah, nigga, we made it. We've done a lot of shit thus far. We fucking did this. So out of 10, I would probably rate this a 6, due to the fact that the compatibility isn't the greatest overall in regards to like the project numerology itself, but also considering she had a long-standing support system in regards to like fan base. Like there's she already is very popular. There wasn't a likelihood that this would necessarily flop, but it also, I would have really liked her to just take some time for herself, because that's very important as well. But it's okay. We've been there, we done that. Moving on. Unapologetic is the 7th album. This came out November 19th, 2012. This was a Monday. It has a psychic number 1 simplified from a 19, a destiny 8 simplified from a 17, and the name 8 simplified from a 53. It was a universal 5-year pure 5 and a universal personal pure 9 year. So I'm not mad at this. Like, this had some bops like Diamond Stay featuring Mickey Echo and Pour It Up. So I'm not mad at this album in general. Like, this was a bop, as all of the albums are. But also the placement of these numbers are very hit and miss. But it's because, again, considering the large fan base that she has, it's not necessarily likely that, again, this album would flop, because with the numbers that she's using, it's not like they're bad numbers. The numbers are just not well regulated, and for me that signifies the fact that it could have poorly impacted the native, and in this case it was Rihanna. So we want to protect Rihanna at all costs, so I want to just make sure that it's okay for her and she's feeling good. I do love the fact that this was a personal 9 year for her, especially with that Psychic 1 simplified from that 19. So the reflection is reflecting and it looks beautiful. Now, granted, this does have a Destiny 8, and I want to say that Loud also had a Destiny 8. But it was a pure 8. But the interesting thing about this Destiny 8, it's simplified from a 17, and this works better for her because 1 and 7 both work better with her natal numbers than just a 8 off top. Like 8 is okay, it's cool by itself, but in regards to her natal numbers, having it have a supplementary number is more beneficial, especially considering the fact that her Destiny number hadn't taken over yet. It would have been a little bit more beneficial. But this is definitely all of the 8s, because she has that Destiny 8, that name 8, and that name 8 definitely being backed by that 53 gives it a very far reach, and people being inspired and admiring it, especially with that 3, and then analyzing and recreating it with that 5. So long-standing, this is definitely success. Has it written all over it with those 8s. The supplementary numbers are okay together. I'm not mad at them. It's just if she was trying to make it bigger, I wouldn't have gone for the 8s, but definitely long-standing, this was going to be an unforgettable project with those 8s, considering the placement of the 8s, the supplementary numbers of the 8s, and her natal numbers, and also the fact that her Destiny number would have taken over in the next 10 to 20 years, so it wasn't necessarily bad. The 8 isn't regulated the best with the 1, but it's also okay, because again, this is album 7, it's gonna be remembered. It's also freaking Rihanna, so she already has enough popularity to last a lifetime. So in regards to maintaining her already prominent status, I would have said that would definitely have it at 8 out of 10. But in regards to the lack of regulation, I would have said probably maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10, because the numbers are good. It just depends on what she wanted to do with it. If she was just like, hey, look, I'm sort of kind of tired, don't want to really do this anymore, this is perfect numerology. This is perfect numerology for that. And that was the vibe. Point made. Point was made. But in regards to if she was trying to do something new and take another step into, hey, this is a new space, it does have that new in regards to that Psychic number, and that Destiny number is supportive of it, but it's sort of a slower burn, which also makes sense in regards to the gap that she took between Unapologetic and Anti, which is the final album we're talking about. This is album number 8. This came out January 28th, 2016. This was a Thursday. This was probably by far my favorite. These numbers are beautiful. Oh my God, they are stunning. So this has an Exalted Psychic 1 Psychic number, simplified from that 28. A Destiny 2, simplified from a 20, and a name number 2, simplified from 11. Oh my gosh, I'm in love. I'm in love. The Anti has Desperado, Needed Me, Love on the Brain, Woo, James Joint. Literally the entire album is a bop. I don't even really need to go through the titles, but I already done it. But everything on this album is absolutely fire. I love this album. It is so beautiful, and also it's stayed relevant for the past however many years it's been from 2016. I'm not even gonna try to do that math off the top of my head. But the numerological compatibility of this release is so very simple, but it's elegant. I know we're talking about numbers, but bear with me. Nothing was intense about this. But what she played her cards so well. So well. With that Psychic 1, you get that rebirth. And then the Exalted 1, on top of that, 2 and 8 already work well with her numbers, and keeping that 8 as a supplementary number and not at any point in the numerology trying to push it into the front. Oh my gosh, this was going to be here, damn it, type vibe without being so loud about the here, damn it. So I'm not surprised she's also not put out another album since then. because the numerology, I'm not even gonna hold you, the numerology kind of said, hey, I've served my time, let's move on now. And I'm okay with that, because baby, it's your life. It's not hard. It's your life. Do whatever you got to do to make you feel good. But I know people gonna fight me about that. But hey, I said it. But that Psychic 1, Exalted 1 works so very nice it's a very nice cherry on top for me. Even though it's the Psychic number, it's definitely a cherry on top in regards to the rest of her discography, and also the Thursday release as well, embracing that Jupiter energy, but just on such a supplementary, just supportive energy. This is also a personal 6-day for her, a personal 4-year, and a universal 9-year. Like, the numbers work well in such a soft way that Destiny 2 being the same exact numerology as her Psychic and name number says that this project is going to be something that people are like, this is Rihanna. This right here is Rihanna, is this album. And you can tell, because this project it's been however many years it's been, and people still bump this. People are still all up in this album's business. I mean, also considering it's the most recent album, it makes sense. But the 2 of this project gives it a natural peace and also a nice natural calm that she definitely needed, that is also true to her nature and embraces the authenticity, because that synchronicity between the project's Destiny number and her natal Psychic and name number, it's just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I will just sit here and rave about the rest of this album for the rest of the day. Fuck the rest of the episode. The rest of the day, I would just sit here and be like, this is just beautiful, bro. Like, the personal 4-year that she was in, she was not trying to play with nobody, because 4 is ruled by Uranus in the North Node. It's the number that highlights chaos, disruption, change, but order all at the same time, but you can't get that order unless you're shaking some shit up. And that personal 4-year in regards to that 9-year just screams rebellion, disruption, and hey, look, I'm here, we're shaking shit up, we're changing shit up, deal with it. And I'm very much here for it. And like I said, these numbers definitely give me a sweet goodbye type vibe, because they're so well lined up with her natural numbers that she wouldn't have to release another project to get her to get somewhere. This is album 8. She don't really gotta do much else. She's been in the game for 2 fucking decades, 8 albums, so many fucking tours. She deserves some rest. She deserves some rest. But I would definitely give this a 9 out of 10. But if she was to come back to the industry, she's currently in a personal 2-year simplified from an 11, and we're in a universal 7-year. So in regards to releasing album 9, 7, and 2, in regards to just years, good compatibility. So it's not bad if she releases an album this year. It just depends on the overall vibe. Depending on the vibe would depend on if I would say this year for her or next year for her, because next year she would be in a personal Exalted 3-year, which would work really well for a reintroduction to the industry, considering that now her Destiny number is in the front seat. So if she were to release this year, it would be more true to her Psychic number, which isn't really the prominent or dominant energy anymore. Whereas next year, it would be also a universal 8-year, which works well with her as well. And that personal, again, like I said, that personal Exalted 3-year, which would work perfect for her natal numbers and coming back specifically. She's been out the industry musically for a minute in regards to her own solo projects. So this would give a nice front row seat for that Destiny number. It would be a nice driver's seat type vibe for that Destiny number. But if in regards to the release itself, I would like to see some 1s, 2s, and 3s. Just because if you look at like past works like Anti, Rated R, Good Girl Gone Bad, Reloaded, those albums all have those numbers in there some way, somehow, and those are really popular Hey I'm Here albums. If you don't want those Hey I'm Here albums, I would recommend different numbers. But also in regards to those albums, songs on those albums specifically are the songs that are coming back again and again. So depending on what she wants to do would depend on what I would recommend. But considering like all of the numerology, I wouldn't be surprised if she consulted a numerologist or a spiritual practitioner at any time, considering how well the numbers are in the majority of her projects. But my main concern for her is her mental health, most definitely. especially with the possibilities of 3 being that destiny number, and that the lack or not strong boundaries of 2. So she can be taken advantage of in more ways than one. So having strong boundaries is very, very key. So I'm hoping that whatever she does put out, if she does put out anything musically, that she would do something that supports her mental health and also brings her a level of protection. So yeah, I would really like to see that. But I hope you enjoyed this, because I definitely did. It was Rihanna, so I had the time of my life. But share your thoughts on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and tag me at YourSoulLab or at Numbers with Ishikari, and share it with somebody who fucks with Rihanna, somebody who is Rihanna. Whatever you want to do, share it, talk about it, tell your friends. And as usual, this episode of The Dissection was inspired by my personal numerologist service, which is a combination of multiple services. So best days for big events, personal numerology, and you and your career. You can check out all of those on my site. But this is also just a very introductory level into those services, because we can go a lot deeper. But y'all don't need to be all up in these people's business like that. This is my business and their business. Okay? I just peeped the shit. But anyways, I hope you like this. I definitely enjoyed this. If you're looking for any of my services, check out my site. Again, links are in the description. But thank you for listening, and follow and turn on your notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.